I'm sorry. I just wanted to start over.
Seems like everyone always wants to start over. Why don't you guys just get it right the first time?
Why didn't you guys just get it right the first time? This is by far one of my favorite CJ quotes in the entire series, because honestly it sums up a lot of what I was thinking while watching the show. CJ was a character that was brought into the show full of passion, full of drive, full of actual relatability to Mordecai, and just like that, she was ripped away from the show just to come back and actually help Mordecai grow as a person along with herself, an actual relationship being formed, developing, and just when the episodes started cooking, just when they started to be actual good episodes that weren't just pushing forward their romance, she was taken away again. In such a horrible way. While Mordecai and Margaret were on a downhill, semi-becoming villains with the choices that they were making, the show also tried to paint CJ as a villain along with them, all because of her cloud powers and her temperament and her ability to overreact. But a lot of these situations, if she didn't have those cloud powers, it would be perfectly justified, all of her reactions, all of her anger, and that's why I can't understand how she could possibly be on the same level as Mordecai and Margaret when it comes to the horrible things that they were doing. Which is why today I'm going to be discussing why CJ deserved better. At the height of season 3, we were just in the midst of Mordecai just being horrible, you know, doing his usual thing. I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know how to talk to women. Yeah, we were at the height of that. And in the episode, Yes Dude, Yes, Mordecai sees Margaret getting proposed. Well, what he thought was her getting proposed. It was actually just a dude showing off his prosthetic leg, but in reality, it crushes his entire world. He gets so sad, which leads to Rigby signing him up for some dating sites. And he goes on a bunch of dates with a bunch of different women that he doesn't really seem even remotely interested in because he's still just thinking about Margaret. But then, out of nowhere, CJ appears.
I wish I could quit and just watch TV all day or something, you know? So, what's it like working at the park?
It's fine.
All right, what's the deal? I can tell you're not into this.
What? No.
Dude, just be real with me.
A genuine, just straight up character that is just a straight shooter, wants to know what's up with Mordecai, why he's not interested in the date, and Mordecai actually confides in her, tells him exactly how he's feeling, and CJ can relate to that. They fully understand each other, and then we just get this incredible montage, which I truly believe is a amazing introduction to CJ in the show, where they're just going out, doing all of their, like, favorite things together. I'm assuming CJ had some level of play into a lot of the things that they were going to do because Mordecai was depressed, and it actually seems like they can bond, like they could connect, like they could actually be characters.
You're doing it! You're gonna beat the high score! Wow, I've never seen anyone beat this game before.
Yeah, I'm kind of an old pro at this.
Whoa! Tied game! Tied game!
Whoa!
Cheap shot! Cheap shot!
And CJ, at this point in the series, had already shown like more of a character than Margaret ever did. CJ immediately seemed like a character that could connect with Mordecai, that could actually be Mordecai's friend, and even more. And that's why, you know, later on in the episode, when Mordecai invites her to the same movie, as well as Margaret, CJ blows up a little bit because they spent the past 2 minutes, I mean, it was only 2 minutes for us, but I'm pretty sure they were going out and doing all these things over the span of maybe weeks, because at the time, Mordecai seemed like he had gotten over Margaret and was reminded of it and fell right back into that depression. He goes to the coffee shop and realizes that he learns the truth, that he made a mistake, and he asks Margaret to the same movie. Even though he had just spent so much time bonding and connecting with this girl, even if it was supposed to be platonic, CJ didn't see it that way because it genuinely felt like they were growing closer and they were forming a bond that could have been more than just friends.
So I have these 2 tickets to see Lovebot 2
Yes.
tomorrow. What?
Yeah, I'd love to go to the movies with you.
Oh, yeah, great. I didn't want him to go to waste. I mean, I don't know how good it'll be, but...
Are you kidding? Hold me so I can learn to love. Hold me.
And when Mordecai invited her to that movie, she was probably hoping that that meant something a little bit more.
I've got a pair of tickets.
Tonight? Yeah, sure, I'd love to.
Great, it's a date then.
Oh, hey, what's up, CJ?
Mordecai, what's going on?
What?
Aren't you taking me to that movie?
And she goes to the coffee shop to say hi to Mordecai, and her entire world is crushed for the very first time when she learns that it wasn't supposed to be a date, it wasn't supposed to be anything like that.
Wait, CJ!
Are you just playing some kind of game? Is this a game to you?
What? No!
Or maybe before Mordecai learned that Margaret was back on the market, it was supposed to be a date, but CJ's reality is crushed, and she gets angry, she turns into a cloud, she freaks out, and Mordecai has to confide and tell her the truth.
I've been there! Maybe I can't be the one to cheer you up, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry!
In order to calm her down. But even though she had this horrible ending where she overreacted, got really angry because of Mordecai doing honestly just a horrible, horrible thing, I can't believe that you wouldn't remember this girl that you were spending weeks with, hanging out, going on multiple different, basically dates together, having a great time. I can't believe it took you literally 12 hours to just forget about her and invite this other girl to a movie, inviting them both. This is Mordecai's first strike of doing something horrible to CJ. But I truly believe that this was a great introduction for her character, and honestly, if they decided to change the status quo right here, get rid of Margaret, dump her right here, and have CJ become the new romantic interest, I would have been all for that, because she seemed like a genuinely good person. Somebody that you could actually watch and enjoy alongside our main characters, and maybe give her an episode all about herself that would still be pretty interesting, because again, she seems like a genuinely good character. Like, there's some writing that you could do for this character, and I would enjoy that. But no. That's not what we got. CJ was taken away right after this big blowout ending where she's just gone for the rest of that, and we don't see her, and by the time she comes back, maybe you would have forgotten about her, but yeah, it was just one single episode, and you begin to see the side of Mordecai that just isn't that good when it comes to women, other than the fact that he's a simp. And just when you might have forgotten about her, because regular show just can't have any missing love drama from any episodes, in season 5, after Mordecai gets dumped by Margaret, goes through all of this stuff to get over her, and then he eventually, at a New Year's Eve party, kisses CJ.
We can still make the best of this.
Huh?
Alright, let's greet the new year with a fresh face. Everyone, take off your masks!
CJ?
They took off their masks, and we really don't get anything from them as characters here. It's just more to reintroduce CJ to the series and tell you that she is back, and she is going to probably be the new love interest for the rest of the show. And boy oh boy, is she, because we then see her again in the episode Dodge This, where all of the park gang is competing in a dodgeball tournament, and I will never forgive them for making this episode all about Mordecai and CJ when we could have had an awesome dodgeball episode, but hey, that's not what I'm talking about. This episode is all about how Mordecai runs into CJ at a dodgeball tournament, and they compete in the finals, and they just can't seem to hit each other. They don't know why, they can't understand why, and this eventually leads to them getting sucked into the god of dodgeball dimension, where they have to talk it out and talk about their history and overall get past it in order to be able to knock each other out and not have drama between them, and to be able to perhaps become friends. And this is what happens.
Wait, I'm not mad at you, Mordecai. I was just embarrassed because of the way I took off after we kissed. I honestly thought you were mad at me.
Really?
I'm definitely not mad at you.
Man, sometimes I feel so dumb about this kind of stuff.
CJ is able to absolutely nail Mordecai with a dodgeball, and this makes them okay. After everything that happened in Yes Dude Yes, CJ is able to move past it, and Mordecai is able to start talking to CJ again. And this leads us into Portable Toilet, a episode where they're just genuinely all hanging out. Eileen, CJ, Mordecai, and Rigby just having a good time, just talking. CJ already still has more personality than Margaret, even though this is only about her 4th episode. She is talking, she's cracking jokes, she's having a good time, and this eventually leads to her making Mordecai eat a sandwich in a portable toilet as a dare.
What a coincidence. My sandwich is chicken too.
Oh! She's got you there, Mordecai.
Are you daring me? Because if you're gonna dare me, just dare me.
All right, I dare you.
Oh, so we're just changing games now.
And because Rigby was, eating a meatball sub in there one day, there's meatball gravy all over the door, and they get stuck in there.
Oh, it really is stuck.
I knew I should have brought my Keysmith multi-tool today. Never doubt your gut, Eileen.
There's some tools in the garage.
All right, hold tight. Don't run out of oxygen in there!
And this leads to CJ and Eileen having to fly in a helicopter in order to save them because it goes to a military zone where portable toilets are destroyed by a giant laser. Yeah, it's all very interesting, but I enjoy it nonetheless. And CJ and Eileen have to save Mordecai and Rigby, and at the end of this episode, Mordecai is starting to hint at the fact that he may be developing actual feelings for CJ because Rigby is just saying, wow, CJ is really cool. And Mordecai says, yeah, she is.
Hey, could we try this thing out?
Well, I don't see why not.
Wow, CJ's pretty cool.
Yeah, she is.
And this is all the stuff that's hinting to the fact that CJ and Mordecai are eventually going to get together. You could really put that 2 and 2 together. Even if you have a brain just filled with rocks, you could tell that they are eventually going to get together. And I actually enjoy this build a lot more than Mordecai and Margaret because there's a lot less just filler where it's a bunch of random stuff happening. It's not, Mordecai, hi, I'm a shallow girl and I'm not supposed to represent anything except a really bland person that you put on a pedestal. No, CJ is an actual genuine person that has a lot of likes, that has desires, and is actually doing things in episodes even though she's only been here for 4 of them. She's developing as a genuine character in the show, which I can appreciate. And then you go into the episode I Like You High, which just highlights how insecure Mordecai really is, and the parts of his character that I really don't like, especially when you consider his age. I mean, dude is like 24, 25, or 26 at this time in the series, and in this episode he is watching a show where they are like baristas and they're shooting stuff in the sky. Yeah, it's really wild. It's like barista competition or whatever, and he says that I like Yuji when it autocorrects to I like you high. And Mordecai, being a grown adult, panics about this. Instead of saying, oh, that was a typo, he just like freaks out and has to go and find Yuji in order to take a picture with Yuji, so it looks like he meant to say I like Yuji instead of I like you high. Yeah, it's a really convoluted and plan that doesn't make any sense, but Mordecai gets sucked into the password guardian secret place once again, and this is where we actually get to look into Mordecai's mind and how he genuinely feels about CJ and how he still feels about Margaret.
I mean, I don't still have feelings for her, but I do in a way. It's like this thing that's inside of me, and it's always just sort of sitting there, waiting around. And sometimes I'll see something, or I'll smell something, and it makes me think of her, even though I don't want to. I really like CJ. She's amazing. But is it fair for me to go out with her if I still think about Margaret sometimes?
And this could have been a great tell to the fact that Mordecai and CJ probably weren't going to work out because Mordecai always still had those feelings for Margaret. He says that it's not fair for him to date CJ if he still thinks about Margaret sometimes. How can that possibly be fair to her? But everybody tells him that it's okay, that he should date CJ because CJ is way cooler than Margaret and he has to get over her. So even if Mordecai still has these feelings, he's going to shove them deep down, and he asks out CJ. And CJ, of course, says yes. But the thing about this is that those feelings are still lingering. That's why it's okay for the fact that Mordecai still wants to be with Margaret, but everything that he does later on in the series that just takes him way downhill is something that never should have happened, because he should have told everybody that he's not ready for that, he's not ready for CJ, and he should have not been able to move on if those feelings weren't completely gone. That is why Mordecai just takes a downhill, because he always still had those feelings, but he decided to date CJ, and it gets a lot better before it gets worse, but it was still a bad decision. Mordecai and CJ are genuinely better together. When there's not all this drama going on, when he's not inviting another girl to the same movie, when Margaret is out of town far away, they genuinely seem like they are lifting each other up. That's why I can enjoy this small segment of the series where they're just going on casual dates, having a good time, becoming better people, confronting their past, learning how to trust each other. I can enjoy episodes like this because there's no drama. It's just watching 2 good characters form a bond and actually feel like they're connecting and become better people. Take Playdate, for example, their very first date, where it's supposed to just be a nice casual hangout, and that's when Death shows up, bring in Thomas, and they have to babysit little evil 300-year-old Thomas, which, by the way, I will never understand Thomas's character. How can he be 300 years old, but the mom also birthed him and doesn't know that he's 300 years old? Whatever, I'm not going to question it, but either way, continuing on, CJ is all for this. She doesn't really care that there is this random weird thing going on. She's going to try to make the best of this date and make sure Mordecai has a good time with her.
Are you at Eileen's?
Very important!
Sorry, CJ. Looks like I can't get out of this.
We don't have to give up on our date just because of Thomas.
Really?
Yeah, I'll just help you babysit him. I'm sure we can still have a good time.
Okay, let's do it.
And that's what they're doing for the majority of the time, even though, you know, Thomas is trying to ruin it the best he can. He eventually has a meltdown and wants to go to the underworld playground where, you know, he tries to sabotage things even more by looking at this pregnant praying mantis and saying that Mordecai wants to get all up in that.
What? No! I will not ask this woman for her phone number.
Huh?
She's obviously married. I can't believe you're asking me to pick up women for you while your date is in the bathroom.
But CJ is already trusting of Mordecai. This relates to the episode Dodge This, where they buried the hatchet, they buried all that stuff, and they're starting fresh, and CJ has no reason not to trust Mordecai here, so she's all for it. She doesn't believe anything that this little shitty toddler's saying about anything, because why would she? So CJ helps them all to escape. Mordecai has to save her by riding the motorcycle, and they escape, albeit, you know, killing one guy by sending him into the infernal abyss.
I'm the victim here. You're the one who hit on my wife. I was just playing with my kids.
But it's a good date. They kiss at the end, and it seems like it's just going to be smooth sailing. It seems like they're going to just keep having episodes like this where they can go on casual dates, real dates, whatever it might be, and just have a good time. And that is the name of the next episode that I'm going to be discussing, Real Date, which is by far one of my favorite romance episodes in the entire show. It might genuinely be my favorite romance episode in the entire show, because everything about it is just honestly perfect, with Mordecai wanting to do something amazing for CJ and them going on an actual real date, while at the same time CJ is trying to do something nice for Mordecai. They're both trying to give each other gifts. They're both their own people within this episode, and that's why...
Tying your shoe.
Go into the bathroom. I was calling Rigby.
I was calling Eileen.
I'm sorry this wasn't more romantic.
This is the most romantic date I've ever been on.
Really?
I could like it so much. Margaret never felt like she was her own separate person for Mordecai, but CJ here, she has her own goals. She really wants to do this one thing for Mordecai, while Mordecai wants to do the same thing. And then the end of the episode, when you have the villain, the couple growl guy, just freaking out, trying to kill Mordecai.
Ah! Look out!
Mordecai jumps in the way to save CJ's life, and that's when CJ loses it, actually using her powers and actually overreacting in a very good situation to kill that guy.
Leave us alone!
And then at the end, they connect even more as people, and they are just boyfriend and girlfriend. It's just good stuff. It's good writing. It's a slow build in season 5, and even though season 5 probably isn't my favorite season, I can appreciate this slow, roasted build to them actually becoming a couple.
There's a different charm for... Whoa! Well, there used to be different charms. I guess they must have all gotten welded into a heart by the bazooka blast.
I love it.
I thought that you would.
Especially when it continues in season 6 with Maxon and Relaxin, when CJ finally wants to meet Mordecai's parents, Mordecai's mom. She is beyond excited, but Mordecai, he has had a lot of past trauma with his mom when it comes to relationships, and her just being a little bit embarrassing.
Oh, this music! What's going on, a dance party? Come on, Morty! Shake what your mama gave ya! Your butt, Morty! I'm talking about your butt!
What do you want, Mom?
I made some snacky wackies for my widow study buddies.
So Mordecai is being horrible to his mom this entire episode, but thanks to a bit of his past coming to life because of the Morty Moments video, and telling him the truth, and them telling him that CJ is awesome. She's not going to judge Mordecai because of his mom. That doesn't make any sense. So Mordecai is able to become a better person here thanks to CJ coming into his life, coming to his home, and him learning that he could be himself, that he could have this embarrassing past, but still be with his girlfriend who is treating him right, who wants to meet his family, who wants to know everything about him. Mordecai is becoming a better person here.
And I'm gonna need everybody to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Bum, 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 bum.
This is way cooler than a mixtape.
Morty Moments.
And just to go right along with that, we go to the episode Daddy Issues, which is a CJ episode confronting her past with her father, who just basically treated her like something to teach, like something to coach, like something to be really good at mini golf, because her dad is Carl Putter, one of the best mini golfers in the entire world, and when CJ enters this competition, she has to compete against her father, and Mordecai immediately, when Carl Putter is just being kind of a dick to her, stands up for her right away. CJ stops him, but it's just showing that Mordecai is honestly willing to help her out, willing to do anything, even if that means standing up to her father.
Hey, I want to see if you still have the chops to come in second place to your old man. Ha ha!
Hello, Mr. Putter. My name's Mordecai. I'm dating your daughter. It's probably not my place to say anything, but what you're doing is not cool.
Forget it, Mordecai. Let's just go.
Ooh, we got a sensitive guy over here.
They actually feel like they're just two people going against the world together, and Mordecai is willing to try to help her throughout everything, throughout this entire challenge, and eventually, because Mordecai pushed her to do this, pushed her to help with this, CJ is able to overcome this, beat her father, and connect with her father.
Now sink that butt, CJ. Nice button, Siege. You finally beat your old man. I'm sorry for being so hard on you. I was trying to prepare you for the world the only way I knew how.
Thus becoming a better person, having a better relationship with her father, and an even stronger relationship with Mordecai. These 4 episodes were honestly just so good for making Mordecai and CJ's relationship just feel real, and giving us genuine examples of how they are good for each other, how they can benefit from each other, and why I wish season 6 just didn't have to take that nosedive, add in all that drama, and genuinely just make CJ suffer. That's why it sucks so much. All of these 4 episodes I thought were just going in the perfect direction of that amazing World of Gumball direction, where you could have 2 main characters within the story just stay together, have a healthy relationship. You don't need all that drama. You could just do dramatic relationship episodes with really cool villains, but that's not the direction they decided to go. Maybe they were running out of ideas. Maybe they really just wanted Margaret to come back more than anything else. Maybe that was the plan from the get-go. But Margaret coming back truly did make CJ suffer, and that's what I'm talking about next. A lot of people in my last video, they shifted all of the blame to Mordecai, and that's perfectly fair. I was going to make a whole video about Mordecai and all the horrible things he does, but hey, maybe I'll just do it right here. Because even if he wasn't ready for this relationship, even if he still had feelings for Margaret, the way that he dragged CJ through all of this is just one of the worst forms of writing that I've ever seen. So what if it's relatable? So what if it's realistic of how a real relationship could play out? Watching one of my main characters cheat on his girlfriend, try to get her back, and then just dump her in one of the worst ways ever? It's just honestly so horrible. And it all begins in the episode Merry Christmas Mordecai, where Mordecai is in a perfectly happy relationship. He's doing so well. Again, I just mentioned all of those 4 episodes where he was having such an amazing time with CJ, becoming a better person, their relationship was blossoming, and instead of us getting more happy relationship episodes, we go to this slop of an episode that honestly just puts such a sour taste in my mouth, because Mordecai, at the beginning of this episode, just because Eileen even mentions the word Margaret, he's like, Margaret? She's coming into town? Yeah.
Is it Margaret is gonna be there?
Margaret? Margaret's gonna be there? Oh no! I should have known she'd be home for the holidays. If she's at the party, and CJ's at the party, and I'm at the party, it's gonna be...
A party?
She's coming into town, dude. Be an adult. Grow up. Deal with your past. But that's not what he does. He spends the entire rest of the episode suffering at the fact that he might have to see Margaret at a party where his girlfriend is literally coming with him. Just hang out with your girlfriend the entire time, dude. Even if you're worried about seeing your ex, who you clearly aren't ready to see, even remotely, maybe you should have never gone into a relationship in the first place, Mordecai. Maybe you should have had, that world view, but he doesn't. And, he's just worried the entire time. They go to the party, they're having a good time. Mordecai is avoiding her the entire time until CJ has to go to the bathroom. Yeah, go to the bathroom. A maybe at max 2-3 minute, unless she's having one of the most violent, traumatic experiences of her life in there. Maybe just a 3-minute experience. But no, He runs into Margaret, this punch bowl disco ball falls in there, and they have to talk, and Mordecai has to say that it's so awkward to see you, and then they grab each other, they're holding each other, and just because they're in their very presence, they kiss, and CJ is left heartbroken.
No!
Oh my gosh.
I didn't mean
I
to do
really
that.
wasn't.
I mean,
Mordecai?
No, it's not.
CJ, wait!
Awkward.
Shattered, crying, leaving the party, and I honestly feel so bad for her. And this would just be one thing. This could have just been one thing. If you would have wrote CJ off here, if CJ would have said, I could never be with you because you did this, I can never trust you ever again, I would have been perfectly fine with this entire situation. Everything that just happened, I would have been perfectly fine. Maybe Mordecai could then go on a journey of self-discovery, understanding his faults, becoming a better person because of the girl that he lost. But no, we go into one of my... I hate this episode. Sad sacks. Why did they have to do this? An entire episode dedicated to Mordecai's journey to getting CJ back. And boy, does he put her through the ringer, doing all of these insane things just to try to get her back, pretending to get hit by a bus of all things, just to try to get CJ back. Yeah. By the end of the episode, he is just being absolutely horrendous, and he goes up and he does this whole thing with Christmas lights, actually does a really nice gesture with, like, paints her face into the street lights, does all this stuff with the Christmas lights to make it seem like he genuinely wants to apologize, and CJ takes him back.
Seeing her at the Christmas party brought up a lot of stuff for me that I wasn't ready to deal with, and I acted like an idiot. CJ, I screwed up. I feel terrible for hurting you, but Margaret and I are over now. I understand if you hate my guts, but I hope you know that I don't want to be with anybody but you.
Thanks for being honest, Mordecai. I think we can give this one more shot.
But Mordecai is on thin ice, as he should be. I mean, first of all, if this situation ever happens to you, I wouldn't take that person back. I wouldn't trust them ever again, because this same thing could happen to you. Why are you even giving into this? I don't get it. I don't understand the forgiveness here. I would have much rather preferred for CJ to be written off and to go do her own thing and live a better life than having to keep suffering over and over and over again, all because of the same dude. Because then we go to the episode I See Turtles, and the main theme of this episode is that CJ should push her feelings of being betrayed, being cheated on, deep down, just so that Eileen could be happy and invite her friend to the Turtles.
I get why CJ doesn't like Margaret, but Margaret's my friend. I don't know. I just wish we could all be friends.
And CJ, being the bigger, the better person, overcomes these feelings and invites Margaret to help stop the Turtles from being, captured, being taken away. CJ is the one to make the call to Margaret, call her over, and actually make the move to bring Margaret back into the fray and actually allow her to be around Eileen without it being all tense.
Fine, but how did you know we were in trouble?
CJ called and told me the whole story.
Wait, CJ called you? On the phone?
On your phone, actually.
CJ?
Somebody had to save those turtles. We couldn't call the cops, so the news was the next best thing, and it just so happens we know a newswoman.
CJ is the one to do that. She shouldn't have to be the one to do that, because she is the character that you should, relate to and understand most why she wouldn't want this to happen. Yeah, it's pretty understandable. And then we go to the episode 1000th Chopper Flight Party. And I hate this episode for a lot of reasons, but the main reason I hate this episode is because I just deem it to be so unnecessary. You could have said that Margaret has a fake boyfriend in any other way other than to make CJ look like an absolute villain, because a lot of people, when they argue for why Margaret chose to do all the things that they did, it's because she was scared, because her life was in danger, because she didn't know how CJ would react. And that honestly sucks, because CJ shouldn't be condemned for acting angry just because she sees her boyfriend with the girl that he cheated on. Yeah, it's just not good. Mordecai literally kissed Margaret at a Christmas party, and CJ drives up and sees them in a helicopter together, laughing, smiling, having a good time. If she didn't have cloud powers, it would have worked out so much better because she wouldn't have tried to kill anybody. But because she is the person that she was born as, of course, her getting angry results in a lot of, trials and tribulations for everybody else, and possibly maybe even death if she wasn't more careful. Yeah. It sucks. I hate that writing. I wish he was a different kind of character and they couldn't go through these kind of things because it just paints CJ as a villain and puts her on the same level as Mordecai and Margaret. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all because it's just not fair to her because we just saw her go through this situation where she got cheated on. She was at her lowest of lows and Mordecai did everything to get her back. And then Mordecai's on thin ice. So of course she's going to be a little bit angry when she sees him up alone in a helicopter.
I can't be here. I gotta hang with CJ. CJ! Hi!
Oh, come on! Did you think I wouldn't find out that you could just make a fool of me forever?
It's just not a normal thing that you would want to see, that you would like to see, and just because she has cloud powers, she is now deemed as a overreacting, horrible person because she gets angry because she sees this when Mordecai is in thin ice. If Mordecai was a real dude, yeah, if he was an actual dude, he would just refuse it, not feel pressured, even though everybody's saying that he has to. He could just come to terms that, hey, I don't want to go up there. I can't go up there. I won't go up there no matter what you do to me. He could have done that, but he didn't. He chose to go up there, and he knew that there was a chance that CJ would feel the way that she felt, because the second that he sees her, that's how you know, the second Mordecai sees her, he freaks out, tries to get out of the helicopter, tries to run away from the situation that he knows he probably shouldn't be in because he knows how it's going to look.
Mordecai?
I can't be here. I gotta hang with CJ. CJ! Hi!
Oh.
Yeah, it's just not a great look for you, man. And it just makes CJ look bad as well, which I just can't agree with, because CJ is the one that is honestly just going through so much suffering, so much sadness throughout this entire season, that you just, trying to put her on the same level as Mordecai's faults, as Margaret's faults in the season, is just not fair. It all goes to Mordecai, like genuinely. All the situations that Mordecai is in, all of the suffering that Mordecai endures is genuinely all his fault. CJ is just reacting, and if she didn't have those cloud powers, I genuinely think a lot of the fan base would be perfectly understanding with everything that she does. And then we head over to Not a Great Double Date, which honestly is just a really boring episode, so that's not going to help it, but it's also just playing off what Margaret had to do in 1000 Shopper Flight Party, which was say that she had a boyfriend, and instead of being a grown woman telling the truth, she decides to just play it up, go through with it, and make Dale Hanlon go as her fake boyfriend, and it eventually all blows up in her face when everything is coming to question, when she doesn't want to kiss him, and that's when CJ asks the question. She honestly says that everything is fine, all of the lies, everything is okay, you could have just told the truth. She didn't even blow up, she didn't even get angry, she held her anger in, and that's when she just asked one question. Do you still have feelings for Mordecai? And of course, Margaret does.
So let me get this straight. You're single, you dated Mordecai for a while, and you keep trying to hang out with him, even though you don't have to, because it's not like you kept in touch with him after you left. All those things are fine. Except that you lied about it. There's only one reason you would lie about something like that.
And CJ leaves because she obviously is extremely angry about this. She doesn't like this at all. She doesn't like that Margaret is lying basically to try to get closer to Mordecai, because there would be no other reason to lie. That's what CJ said. There would be no reason to lie unless you still had feelings for Mordecai. So you're trying to hang out with him. And she even mentions the fact that she didn't try to long distance with him, which I don't know if that makes it canon that they didn't try long distance, or Mordecai wanted to do long distance and she did it, but she didn't talk to him at all. She comes back into his life, is trying to get close to him, lies about it, tries to get close, and then CJ confronts that and learns that it's all true, and CJ is the one who has to leave. And then we go to Dumped at the Altar, which is truly Mordecai at his absolute worst, where he gives his big old speech hijacking Muscle Man's wedding to say, who is the right person for me? Is it that old man? Is it Benson? Is it you? And I feel like at the end of the speech, it's basically kind of a known consensus that he was going to tell CJ that he loves her. I think that's where he was heading with it, but he made it sound like the most I'm gonna break up with you kind of speech you could ever imagine, which leads to CJ saying that, well, I don't want to be with you. I know what you're going to say, so save it. And the fact that Mordecai didn't point in her direction, she leaves.
Mordecai, just stop. I already know what you're gonna say, so save it. You don't know who your soulmate is? Here. You didn't even point in my direction.
CJ!
Yo, Mordo, if you're finished hijacking my wedding, is it okay if we get married now?
And that is the end of CJ. There is no closure. We don't get to see her again, except for maybe in one snippet when the part comes back or something. We don't get to see CJ again. There's no closure for that relationship. There's no knowing how she turned out after going through all of this, after meeting a nice dude, and then getting rejected. After coming back into that guy's life, getting close to him, developing a relationship, after becoming very close, meeting his parents, him meeting your dad, you becoming close, him cheating on you, working so hard to get you back, and then your trust just being snapped over and over and over again, and then you guys break up, and there's no closure after that. CJ is one of the most interesting written characters in all of regular show because there's many points in the series where you could look at different paths the creators could have taken to actually make it a little bit better. Who knows, maybe it would have turned out worse. But in season 3, if they decided to just get rid of Margaret and focus on CJ as the main romantic interest, perhaps things would have went a way different way and would have been way more interesting. Yes, maybe we wouldn't get all of that realistic advice for our stupid tween minds so that we could understand the dangers of relationships, but maybe it could have been a much more interesting path for the show, a much more grounded path that we would have liked a lot more, with a lot of chaos, villain episodes where it's just CJ and Mordecai fighting a love demon or something. It could have been an interesting path to take that I would have liked to see. And then in season 6, I genuinely think with the way that they were doing it, the second that Mordecai cheated on her, I think it should have been the end of her character, because I just didn't like that she kept getting roped back into all these horrible things, and painting her to go along with all of Mordecai's wrongdoings. I just didn't enjoy that. I didn't like that at all. And I feel like that's the main reason that season 6 is frowned upon by so many different people, because yes, you could view it as a realistic thing of what you're not supposed to do, of how you're not supposed to take these things. Yes, that's great. You could enjoy that, but I don't personally. I would have much rather had an episodic season 6 with some little like romance boosting episodes like Daddy Issues, like Maxin' and Relaxin', that just have a calm feel to it, but can still have that classic regular show feel and can still progress CJ into a very interesting character. If they decided to keep going on this path with CJ that they were going with Maxin' and Relaxin', with Daddy Issues, before they decided to just pivot and bring Margaret back, she probably would have been a character that would have been well liked enough to actually go to space with them in the finale. She could have been on levels of Eileen if they kept on developing her character, because she was getting so much growth, she was getting so much love, she was making Mordecai a better character, but they decided to go a completely different direction with that, and it's just not the direction that I liked, because CJ truly deserved better for everything that she was doing in the series, because until she started showing off the majority of her anger in season 6, she just seemed like a genuine down-to-earth person that liked the things that Mordecai liked and was willing to do anything to try to make him a better character, as well as herself. But they didn't do that, and CJ genuinely deserved better.
Holy